ito na problema na ito. But let's give our local producers a chance, no, na itong supply and demand equation natin ay mag-auto-correct. Bigyan natin ng isang cycle. So that would amount to about 30, so 60 days.
The DA says they are not discussing additional chicken imports so far, saying that thin supply in Cebu is likely due to a ban imposed.
Still, PH also notes that some establishments are grappling with short supply and high cost of flour, potatoes, and even beef, while poultry raisers foresee a possible shortage in eggs later this year. Vegetable prices also on the rise, with big increases seen for eggplants, ampalaya, and pechay. On your screens, the current prices from Mega Q Mart in Quezon City. And nearly 5 pesos a liter for kerosene. But in Boracay, the new round of increases pushes diesel prices to nearly 100 pesos a liter. Locals are also seeing almost 97 pesos per liter for gasoline. Local authorities earlier explained fuel is more expensive on the island because of transport costs. Amid soaring fuel prices, outgoing transport chief Art Pagadian not ruling out the possibility here the fare increase petitions from jeepneys, taxis, and transport network vehicle services providers. Provincial government institutionalized the policy on optional face masks outdoors.
Member John Ismael Borgonia. Garcia called for a special session today after the board failed to approve the ordinance on its regular sessions on Monday due to lack of quorum. She also certified the measure as urgent. It was smooth sailing for the measure, which passed without any objections. The discussions and approval lasted, less than 30 minutes. Under the new ordinance, wearing a face mask will only be required inside enclosed said the new ordinance will be effective upon signing by Governor Garcia and 15 days after public publication in a newspaper of general circulation. Back to you, Pia.
Dale, the Cebu provincial Police chief was relieved. What do you know? Growth. As of 2021, the country only had 2.4% of its 8.3 million. Globally, a United Kingdom-based study finds the Philippines is the Education Department helping young learners get back on track amid the pandemic. The Brigada Pagbasa, an offshoot of the DepEd's Brigada Eskwela, will help early grade learners as they transition to face-to-face classes. Volunteers
prior to the pandemic, unfortunately, COVID happened. Kaya po yung disenyo po nito na magkaroon po sana ng
involves not just the schools, but also the leaders in the community.
the DepEd hopes to start the program by next school year, pending approval from the Justice Department issues an immigration lookout order against the car owner. While this pop rock band seems to love its Filipino fans so bad, Lainey and
RPN DXKP Pagadian, ang inyong Radyo Ronda. RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radio Philippines Network. Live to the world, pinaagi sa FB page, karon mag-download na. Pinaagi sa Google Play og Apple Store, YouTube og Twitter. Alang sa mas ipakuskan nga mga balita, komentaryo, kasayuran og kalingawan. Ang mas ipakuskan nga inyong Radyo Ronda. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
You're watching CNN Philippines. The Justice Department
an immediate blood transfusion.
Kailangan po ngayon kasi nakaano na po siya, naka-life support na machine. So, yun.
Philippine Red Cross Blood Center.
Masaya po kasi masasalina na po nanay ko na dugo. Doon sa mga nagdo-donate, nagpapasalamat din po. Oo, kasi kung hindi dahil din po sa kanila, siguro ngayon po napakahirap po maghanap.
Yun yung mga lockdowns, yung ating mga virtual online schooling, and then the work from home. Arrangement, and of course for those who would want to donate na
More blood donors, but COVID-19 protocols are also being followed.
we would want to encourage yung regular blood donation. A donation every we can process this and separate this into component like the red cell, the platelet, plasma, and the cryoprecipitate.
The World Health Organization says that the need for blood is universal, but access to it is not. Blood is essential for patients to survive surgeries, cancer treatment, traumatic injuries, and those with chronic illnesses. That is why blood donation is crucial to make sure that it is available whenever or wherever it is needed. Tristan Udalo, CNN Philippines.
for those who would like to donate blood. Safe for children under 5 years old. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration says the doses provide an immune response similar to even if it has already spread across nations. They also note the current strain is like some organizations are working together to make that happen. Stanley Gahete has the details.
The Nayong Pilipino is aiming to gather pertinent data from different sectors, particularly from the LGBTQIA+ community, to
as one of those that's always left behind.
the forum is serving as a framework for an envisioned park in Nayong Pilipino that will stand for the safe space, embracing everyone in the community.
This is the first time na we partnered with LGBT organization. May mga ideas po na sinabi doon, dapat gender mismo.
Na yung Filipino employees will also be on LGBTQIA+ could create a huge impact in today's society.
Isa po itong napakagandang talakayan kung saan nabuksan yung karapatan talaga ng bawat gender. Meron po tayong social norms na pinapataw sa bawat gender. Ito po yung dapat natin nababasag.
Stanley Gaete, CNN Philippines.
Undersecretary Tonicito Umali did not disclose the date and venue of the meeting, but he said Duterte will continue to engage the services of outgoing DepEd Chief Leonor Briones. Sara Duterte will take her oath as the 15th Vice President of the Philippines in the city of Davao this after a 3-day program where he was briefed on economic and foreign affairs and the legislature. He says he will continue to speak in Filipino in debates.
Akin na para hindi mo ako iboto. Pero bakit mo ako binoto? Kasi naniniwala sila sa federalism. Naniniwala sila sa
The First Time Center earlier expressed interest in heading the Constitutional Amendments Committee Padilla topped the senatorial race with over 26 million votes. More stories when we come back. The Golden State Warriors one win.
RPN DXKP Pagadian. Ang inyong Radyo Ronda. RPN. RPN. Radio Philippines Network. Radio Philippines Network. Live to the world. Pinaagi sa FB page. Karon, mag-download na. Pinaagi sa Google Play o Apple Store, YouTube o Twitter. Alang sa mas kipakuskan ng mga balita, komentaryo, kasayuran o kalingawan. Ang mas kipakuskan ng inyong Radyo Ronda Network. Kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
In the NBA Finals, the Golden State Warriors need one last win to take the crown after beating the Boston Celtics in Game 5 today. 104-94. Andrew Wiggins. The Oscar-winning film Joker, possibly with the iconic role of Harley Quinn. American news outlet The Hollywood Reporter says the pop star is being considered for a role in Joker Folie à Deux opposite Joaquin Phoenix. Joker director Todd Phillips also produced Lady Gaga's critically acclaimed 2018 News.ph at 7 p.m. and on Politics as usual at 8:30. I'm Pio Ontiveros. Before we go, the Energy Department has sought the help of distribution utilities like Meralco in its mission to manage energy use. These companies
And we continue our conversations with party list groups running in the elections. This time, we focus on BH Bagong Henerasyon Party List, which aims to continue uplifting the lives of Filipinos through its public service programs. The group's first nominee, Deputy Speaker Bernadette Herrera, now joins us to tell us more. Good morning, Congresswoman. Thank you so much for being here. Now, we have just 4 days to go before Election Day, and we understand that you just had your meeting de avance yesterday. What else are your plans in the final stretch of the campaign period?
Well, good morning. Good morning to everyone who's watching. Well, of course, we'll go around as much as we can and then rally our leaders to really vote on Monday. What we're instructing them is to really vote first hour on Monday, so that they have already exercised the right to vote, and then to encourage the youth, the new generation, the new voters to vote. So that's the direction that we're taking now, is to really gather all our supporters in order to make sure that they have to know their precinct numbers, their polling places, and all that, so that they're ready when they vote on Monday.
All right. Could you tell us a little bit about the BH Party List? You're known for producing legislation to uplift Filipinos' lives and providing social services to families. What would your priority legislation be if given another chance to serve in Congress?
Well, my priority legislation is hopefully the government can also help every time our people are hospitalized. During the pandemic, all public hospitals were full. So the constituents end up going to private hospitals, and that's the one direction that I want to focus on, in order that government can also help even in private hospitals. We've been doing this through an administrative order of DOH, but I want to make it into a law. At the same time, penalize government for having delayed payments to private hospitals, because that's very important. Private hospitals are already crying for help because PhilHealth has not been paying them. And I feel that we should encourage private hospitals to help our constituents, especially in times of need. And so yan yung isang focus that I want to look into, and more scholarships for college education. We have seen the effect of the free tuition fee in state colleges and state universities. 1.6 million of senior high school graduates are already in college. And that shows us that a lot of youth want to study. So we have to encourage more of that and give more opportunities for private colleges and private university scholarships. That's very important. And one of the bills that we weren't able to pass during the last Congress was the aid for Filipino families, because normally our assistance goes to household, and a lot of families were not able to receive these subsidies or help from government. But I would like to focus more on sustainable programs Ayoko na po ng mga ayuda na pang isang araw lamang. It has to last for a lifetime. You have to teach them how to fish. But in Bagong Henerasyon, we always say we revolutionize the fishing industry. So you find ways on how they could create livelihood opportunities for themselves. And those are the things that I would like to focus on. And of course, the Water Regulatory Commission and the Department of Water are two pending bills of mine that I would like to refile when I go back to Congress.
Now, Congressman, as you've been saying, you focus on other sectors, that of women, youth, as well as micro, small, and medium enterprises. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about the main challenges in these sectors right now. What are they facing, and how do you plan to address them?
Well, one of the things that's facing us is the review of the wage board. If you recall, a lot of workers are clamoring for increase in the minimum wage. But of course, it's going to be a balancing act on how you could maintain the businesses, the small businesses, to maintain their businesses if we adjust the minimum wage. So ito yung very critical in this coming legislation as to how we could manage to keep our small and medium enterprises afloat while helping our workers cope with increase in prices of fuel, increase, of course, the implication of that is increase in prices of several commodities. So we have to find that perfect balance as to how we could encourage small and medium enterprises to really open up and to help our small and medium enterprises.
All right, lastly, Congresswoman, any other programs that you will be pushing if you return to Congress?
Well, like I mentioned, I would like to really push for private sector support in terms of private hospitals on how we could help our constituents for that one. And at the same time, I would like to really focus on the Department of Water and the Water Regulatory Commission. That's something that's hanging already for the past Congresses, and I'd like to make sure that it would be passed in Congress, this 19th Congress.
All right, thank you so much for your time this morning, ma'am. That was Deputy Speaker Bernadette Herrera of BH Bagong Henerasyon Party List. Thank you for watching New Day here on CNN Philippines. 4 days to go before the Filipino votes. This morning, we speak to two party list groups seeking congressional seats. First up, the Pilipinas para sa Pinoy, or PPP party list. And joining us live via Zoom is the group's first nominee, Mike Planas. Mike, good morning. Thank you for joining us here on New Day. Tell us a little bit about how it's going in the last stretch of the campaign period for PPP party list.
Hi, good morning, Leah, and to all the viewers of New Day. Good morning. This is PPP, Pilipinas para sa Pinoy, number 75 sa inyong mga balota. It's been tough, especially if you are lacking in resources. You have to remember, Leah, that PPP party list is one of those few, or if not the only party list that is not controlled by any politician, national or local, no? And that's why we really lack resources and nahirapan kami. But I really trust naman the voters na it's about time that we promote the Filipino First policy. That's what PPP is all about. Na long forgotten na yan, no, Ria? Panahon pa ni Carlos P. Garcia nung huling natangkilik natin ang Filipino First Policy or unahin ng Pilipino na polisiya, no? And tayo here, we encourage that we support every Filipino in all their endeavors, no? Kahit anong sektor kagaling, ay kailangan ka magsuportahan, mabigyan ng sapat or karampatang programa para sa kanilang livelihood, kabuhayan, at kung ano pa man. At the same time, we want to empower all their skills, no? Lack of training kasi, kaya minsan nahihirapan din ang ating mga labor force. And at the same time, there must be technology transfer. And lastly, which is the most important, is we need to protect the rights of every Filipino.
All right, and when you say protect the rights of every Filipino, you're not just speaking about people within the workforce, like factory workers, or people in agriculture, like farmers. You're speaking also about basic human rights. Do I understand you right?
Yes, basic human rights, the national patrimony, sovereignty, and of course the Filipino itself. No, kaya nga kami, I always encourage everyone. No, everyone I speak to, I always tell them focus on three things: love of God, of country, and of the Filipino. And with those three things, I don't think maliligaw pa tayo and in supporting this country and making this country a better place.
All right, so Mike, tell us, if elected, what priority legislation would you be pushing, or what exactly would your programs look like?
Okay, Ria, you mentioned earlier about agriculture and our food production industry. No, when I was councilor of Quezon City before, I was the one who initiated the comprehensive land use plan. No, which is now in fact being used and passed in Congress to become the national land use plan. But this time, when I enter Congress once elected, we will focus on the comprehensive land use plan for agriculture, meaning all the crops na ang Pilipinas kasi is composed of so many islands, 7,000 plus, and different soil ang mga ano nito, and iba-iba ang livelihood. No? May mga dagat na madaling mangisda, merong mga lupang madaling tamnan ng ganitong crop. No? So we must have, together with Department of Agriculture and all our food scientists, no, food production scientists, we must come up with a comprehensive land use plan for agriculture so that ma-maximize natin lahat ng production natin all over the country from different crops.
All right, and what other programs would you also be pushing for, Mike, if elected to Congress?
There are other programs, no, like yung health natin, scholarships natin, you know, the typical necessary, ano. But what's more important is enhancement, no? Enhancement of our labor force, no? Whether you're an online worker or a fisherman, as you have mentioned, dapat lahat mabigyan ng tools, no? Ang mga fishermen dapat mabigyan ng mga cold storage facility, ang mga farmers natin dapat mabigyan ng mga post-harvest facility, and so on and so forth. We need to enhance their skills. We need to retrain our labor force so that they become competitive here and abroad.
All right, thank you so much for your time this morning. That was PPP Party List First Nominee Mike Planas.